So the green dot is where we're standing right now, and then it literally went this way, all the way to the other side of the peninsula. Like, this was a giant fire. So there's our green dot right there. So that's where we're standing. Yeah, pretty huge fire. About $7 million worth of damage in 1861. As I go through these answers, you guys all gave me a little bit of something. So you're going to have to shout out when something is definitely relevant to something you heard or seen on your spirit boxes. So it'll probably raise a spark, I'm sure. Let's get started with the kids. There was 4 of them. Charles, you already know about, signer of the Constitution. The next child is Thomas, Revolutionary War hero. Fought in the Battle of Camden. He was shot in the left leg. Did somebody hear somebody left out front along something like that? Yeah, you guys heard left out front. So again, the word left, I'll be listening for things wrapped around when he got shot in his left leg and captured by the British. When he was released, he was left on a cane the rest of his days. So again, these are all clues that I normally look for, but we didn't get the direct name of Thomas, so that'll be my first clue, but the word left was in left out front. So again, that's how I took that. The next child is the one I asked you not to poke the bear with. This is baby George. You can already see where this is going, right? Baby George. He doesn't have a headstone or a grave. I have my own theory about that, but we're going to get into that in just a second. Baby George, his death certificate has the same month and year in the birth and death column. If my readings and calculations in memory are correct, that death date would be June 12th. Did you not hear June 12th? You did.
Oh, wow.
So, you also, what did you hear before that? Do you remember? Kid's death.
Oh.
Exact.
Wow.
And then she heard June 12th. Now, I will verify that because, again, I'm about 90% positive that it was June 12th based on the readings that I found. So, my theory on why he doesn't have a headstone or a grave is because he doesn't have one. They would have kept the baby mummified right here in the home, waiting for mom to pass away, and that's where he would have been. Now, it's going to get even weirder when I tell you about Eliza's death, but we have one more child to speak of. One daughter, her name was Harriet. She married in Horry. Myrtle Beach is in Horry County, where London lives. She knows that, and you can't call it Horry. People get pissed up there. So, it's Horry. But that kind of gives you a basic idea of where Eliza lived. It wouldn't have been a 2.5-hour car ride to go and see her daughter. Lots of letter writing. So, you know, Harriet does show up here, which is very seldom. We'll get terms wrapped around writing. So ink, quill, paper, those kind of things. And I know quill seems like a weird thing to come up with, but it has on a regular spirit box and on the word list in the past. Again, I've been doing this for 3 years, 7 nights a week. So, get a lot of stuff. Eliza's death. Let's get into that. That's where things start to get a little weird. Eliza was 70 years old when she died in Philadelphia. She was going up there for treatments for whatever they thought she had. Didn't the word treatment show up somewhere?
Yeah.
We said treatment.
Then we had, oh, you heard treatment. That's what I thought. She actually died from breast cancer that we know of. We're going based off of her medical records now because they didn't know what breast cancer was in 1793. So the word cancer did show up on our word list, and we heard treatment. So again, they go hand in hand. I don't know if she would have stayed around to know what cancer was after her death, but we do get the word breast cancer here all the time. So take that for what it's worth. She's buried in Philadelphia. That should answer 2 questions for you. First off, baby George. If my theory is true, they would have transported that baby from this space all the way to Philadelphia to be buried with his mother. I would not have wanted been that driver. Just saying. That's a dead baby that's been corpsed for a long period of time. The other thing is the stories in the cemetery is the name of the experience that you're on. We don't go to actual cemeteries because you're walking through one giant one. I don't get a lot of activity out of cemeteries. You're not going to hang out where you're buried once we're gone. You're going to go to your mansion 400 miles away where we're standing, which is why I take you to the spaces that we go to. So a lot of people will call me and say, how many cemetery accesses do you have? I'm like, we're not going through cemeteries. Okay, I'll call the other company then. Good luck. You're not going to find anything. So again, that's why we go to spaces like this. You guys gave me a lot of keywords and terms and phrases that are great starter stuff. Some stuff matched up in real time, which is amazing. Eliza, oh, the president. And where's my history buffs? Who was the president, 1793, that carried her to her grave? He was a pallbearer.
Never got it.
Going once, twice.
1793 would have been George.
Washington, correct. George Washington, at his own request, wanted to pay homage to Eliza based on her indigo helping to get his country started. Let's not forget that the Pinckneys were mainly governors and some kind of ambassadors of some sort. He only had 13 colonies. He knew his governors. It's not like our presidents today that, oh, I got 50 people I got to keep up with. He knew these people pretty well. So I did play one subliminal trick on you. I'm a wordsmith. I get to do that one time and one time only. When we got here, I told you I would not give you questions like, what color is George Washington's white horse? I do that on purpose. It's one of the first things I tell you when we get here. And the pallbearer question is the last one that I give you, just to see who's going to be subject to subliminal messaging. So Daniel, you like failed. Like I was waiting to see who's going to pass with a fail, but you kind of screwed it all up, man. No, I'm kidding. Good on you for
I got
knowing
no
history.
Georges, I got no Washingtons.
It's okay. And the funny thing is that's how I learned about it. Was it came through a spirit box twice in 1 week. The full name George Washington.
Oh wow. I'm
like, I'm not spouting stuff off to you guys that the tourism industry tells me I have to give you. This is stuff I've learned from the tours, like my experiences in these locations. And I've come up and designed it this way so you guys actually have legitimate spaces to go to. So, very cool. I'm excited. Oh, the EMF readings. So, yours goes all the way to 25 and it maxes at 25. I'm going to give you a basis of like how these actually work with examples from your home. Behind your television set, you have a bunch of wirings and things like that from your players and the TV itself. That's usually about a 40 to 60 milligauss based on the unit of measure we're using here tonight. That's pretty high. Your microwave running on high is usually about 150 to 170 with the door shut and you're standing next to it with that one of those devices. The highest I've ever seen, and you missed out on this, you weren't here, the device that you're using tonight, 214 in this space.
Oh wow.
I saw it for myself. That was a cool one. But again, it was real quick and it blipped up real high. The highest before that was 198, and that was actually in St. Augustine, Florida. So it went to 214 here about 3, maybe 4 weeks ago now. Like super exciting stuff. I have to step away when it gets that high just because I have epilepsy. I can be influenced by that pretty quickly. So I had to ask the user from a distance, what's it doing now? He's like, nothing. It was a one-time blip because we were both. I was showing him how to use it just like I was showing you, and that's when it occurred. So it was kind of nuts. So 214, like that's not an anomaly. Like that's a real deal. So again, that's why we use the 25 milligauss to try to debunk some things, and that way if certain readings are coming up together, obviously we have something going on. What's going to happen from here? I was asking you guys. No, I'm kidding. I'm in charge, so just making sure everybody's paying attention. So we're dealing with an intelligent ghost here. We ask questions, we get answers. You know, and we actually got quite a bit of answers tonight, which is super cool. And the fact that you're telling me all the stuff you hear on TV is garbage and you're getting stuff in real time is awesome. I am so excited for you. Where we're going is not that way. We're going to a residual ghost area, and it's about 3 blocks away. So the EMF readers, you can ignore your readings. Go ahead and turn off your REM pod. That's the little white button in the back. And again, ignore your readings until we get inside Lodge Alley. Cameras, the only 2 cameras, you will not be videoing or taking pictures until we get into the alley. And again, even with that, that's okay. You got the little white button in the back will turn off the whole thing.
How do you turn that off?
You just click it out. You punch it in just like you were. No problem.
This one, right?
Yep, you got it. You got it. Perfect. So this is the time for the spirit boxes to actually shine. I want y'all listening for names. I'm not going to tell you what names, and Misty, yes, that does include yours. You're going to let me know what names you hear once we get into the space. No more subliminal message tricks, I promise. But it is one of those things where it makes a whole hell of a lot more sense once we're inside the space. We'll be inside of a quiet area. So those of you with the noisemakers, so Daniel and CARRIE, you'll be turning yours down once we enter the space because we're going to be in between a restaurant and a hotel room. So again, turn them up along the way there. We get into Lodge Alley on the cobblestones, turn them down. Lasers will be safe as long as you keep them on your toes and you guys are taking nice, slow pictures. So we'll wait till we stop and we'll get those lasers out. I'll let you know when it's safe to do so. All right, let's go take a hike. Let's go see what we can find. Let's get this spirit box. Yeah, we're going to do this now. Okay, just that piece. Yeah, that's usually the base. That's the normal one.
Yeah, I just remember that name.
It sounded like Jack. Mine looks so good. Crazy, I don't know.
Yes, actually. So fun. Brilliant. Yeah.
Because I can record this real job once.
Whereas right now, what we've been looking at are help early, how we random noises that sound like voices, and one or two.
Yeah, it's kind of done.
That was one of the places Joanna recommended.
Before we saw the
Oh, I had a cool restaurant there.
Yeah, for sure.
the one that got bumped. But after we crossed the road to the market, or right before we crossed the road, the first road to the market, I heard, no.
It's big.
Mm-hmm.
We just crossed the road out. And in between the two, I heard Kirby.
I heard you say earlier, and I asked like how much time. I can't wait, because I don't pay attention to time, obviously. Alright, so what did you... Alright, what names did we hear? What do we got?
William.
Did you hear anything else?
I heard scattered word.
It's kind of vague. Bree, what do you got?
Coming forward.
On and off, that's all I got to touch, right?
Yep.
All right.
You got it. And now we're recording. So yeah, you just
Okay.
want to keep that thing kind of pointed either one way or the other.
I'll go
Preferably
that way.
not on the guys who are passing their garbage. So this space, guys, just so you guys know where we're at, we're going to talk about this space. Did you get any names on this report? So it's all exciting. You guys are doing some good in the Quincy Mansions thing. So that last crosswalk we came over, past all the drunken girls, that's where kind of reference, right?
Yeah.
So, that's where all of the original Charlestown Wall used to be. It used to run up Cumberland Street, and we are now standing on one of the first streets of Charlestown. So Charleston used to be called Charlestown, the walled city. So this space, people used to live here. That's why I asked you guys for the names. The names I commonly get here every 6 to 7 weeks are Benjamin and John. None of you guys gave me Benjamin and John. Why? Because that 6 to 7 week loop, we're in week 1 to 2 right now. So again, I wasn't expecting it, but we never know. We do have a William on that word list. London already looked it up. So again, do I know if it's relevant? You put that pretty far back, so I can't really pinpoint it unless his occupation shows up somewhere else. That name list, the resident list, isn't like a census list. It's not very lengthy for one, and only like 2 to 5 people live down here at a time. So when I hear the same names over and over again every 6 to 7 weeks, 2 out of 5 people lived here in 1801, Benjamin and John. And if we're confused on which John it is, because there were 4 different Johns that lived here in a 60-year time span, look at his last name, Johnson. John Johnson will show up. So again, can't make this stuff up. It's one of those pieces where I didn't even really truly know what was going on down here for the first year I was doing the tour in this location. Finally figured it out. Standing on Belgian blocks. These things are made straight of granite. You've heard the term limestone before. Everybody here seems like they're somewhat involved or knows something about the paranormal. The word limestone is actually said to stir up paranormal activity because it comes straight from the earth. Well, so does granite. And it's been here for a few hundred years. It's hanging on to the consciousness of memories, and you're spitting it back at us. And I get the same names all the time. Every once in a while, we'll get a third name. That name is Jane. That's a third person out of 5 residents of 1801. Do I have any significance about 1801? Nope. I got nothing. It's just a matter of I get the same names and I keep track of when they start coming through. I can't even pinpoint it to the night that we're actually going to get those names. But again, it is about a 6 to 7 week loop. I tried moon phases. I tried calling my psychic friends, like what the hell's going on with this space. I got nothing other than the fact these blocks. This is the core of it. Before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. We do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons, like Freemason, Mason, Briggs, but we also get the words Illuminati. It's shown up 6 times last year, and twice already this year. First off, who the hell is talking about the Illuminati on the radio? Because that's what you guys, London's on radio. But why am I only hearing it in this space? It's the only time I ever hear it is when we're in this general vicinity. So again, things I can't make up. I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories about the Illuminati with y'all, because that's a whole nother tour. But they did do an archaeological dig underneath these bricks, and they found the residents' tools and clothing and things like that, and classified them as lower class. It makes sense to me based on the way the city was set up. The other side of the wall would have been on the other side of East Bay Street from where we were walking. The smell of low tide is going to come through here all the time. The rich of Charleston are not going to put up with that. You probably notice a lot of our houses downtown are skinny in the front and long back. 2 reasons. The first reason is to keep the smell of low tide out. The front porch is on the side with a door on it. It's called a piazza down here. It's to help keep the smell of low tide from entering the home. They would open up the 2nd-story windows and allow the cool air from the water to come in. The heat rises, cool air drops. It's old-school air conditioning. The second reason why they actually have the skinny in the front is because you're taxed based on how much street side you took when your houses were built. The skinnier your house, the less taxes you pay. Now, I just showed you a picture of the Pinckney Mansion site, and it was broad against East Bay Street. First off, they're governors, and they're the Pinckneys. They have money. They have their indigo farms, so they have their cash. But again, they're outside the city walls. Who knows if they were even paying taxes at all, first off. But if they were, who cares? They're the Pinckneys, and they want to show off their beautiful home. Who care? They have the cash to be able to pay those taxes. So that's part of the reason why I like to show off that picture. It's a little bit more of the geography piece down here. Do I lollygag down here a lot? I do. I sit down here for like 5 to 7 minutes with y'all just to see if something's going to come through. Remember, this isn't a space where we can ask questions and hopefully we get answers. The EMFs, if anything goes above an 8, I get excited. So again, nobody's really shouted anything out at me as far as the EMF readings. We got a couple a few weeks ago. I was pretty surprised. We had a 12 and a 24, and that did pretty hot. But again, the next space we're going to go to is another alley. However, I cannot take you all the way through it. We've been picked out, haven't we, London?
Yeah.
You guys have all the blinky lights and the noisemakers and the video cameras, and it is considered residential at the end. So,
Someone got yelled at.
I'll tell you that whole story once we get there. So that is actually part of it, and it tells you why we had to learn to reroute our investigation nights. But that space, I still tell the story over there, because even though we're allowed to tour halfway, it's not fair for my 10 people to be working around the other tours, 20 to 60 people that are going to be down there and trying to investigate a space. I like to at least give you guys some breathing room when I'm trying to investigate, but it still stirs up a lot of activity because so many people retell the story. Obviously, I tell it differently because we're ghost hunting. I'm going to tell you a lot more details than the other tours won't go through because you need those details for your spirit box work tomorrow morning. We will get clues from that space the rest of the evening. So, again, we're going to see what's going to happen throughout the night, but it is a general, because we're going to stay in that general 1 block area, and you're going to kind of see the rest of the layout. No more long walks. That was the longest walk, was to get over here from the Pinckney Mansion, because obviously you can see no other tours go to an empty space. So once we get to the edge, we're going to stop videoing. So again, because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to get to the next alley. So just stop your video once we get out of this area, and then I'll position you to record the next one.
Okay.
So let's continue listening to your spirit boxes. Obviously, lasers are still kind of a no-go for a little while until our last stop. So if you want to get a few before you exit, just make sure they stay on the ground. Okay? All right. Yeah, yours is kind of
We already did it.
That was the first clear we see.
Hazel, 5 people.
How's that spirit box working?
Hazel, 5 people.
Say again?
Hazel and 5 people.
It's interesting. I don't know what it means, but it's definitely interesting. Anybody else hear anything along the way?
Don't trust big men.
Laser's off in this location.
I might have gotten help again.
Man, you get a lot of helps. Don't trust big people.
Big men.
Big men. Hazel, 5 people. What was the other one? Whew. Man, you guys are good. Don't know what half of it means, but you guys are hearing things, which is good. That's research for me. You guys have to imagine, I'm the writer. The research is what I'm on. So I am going to line you guys up execution style. So let's move down a little bit further so everybody can kind of see the alley behind me. As far as filming, you're going to actually be very discreet. Nope, you're going to stand against the wall. Because again, the people in the alley, they didn't pay to be filmed. So you're going to be very discreet about it.
Okay.
Up to the sidewalk and then make a left.
I'm trying to remember things.
You hanging out in here? I'm gonna walk out over there.
Yeah.
You wanna come in?
Yeah.
I'll see.
So this is St. Philip's Episcopal Church. It's the very first church organized in Charleston way back in 1680. This building dates from the mid-1800s. I don't know if you can tell.
So ask what Jack's shift is.
I'm drinking.
So I went over to the cemetery, and I was by myself, actually, my wife was with me.
Yeah.
So I'm filming around it. Nothing happened other than I scared myself. I went to film the actual sign that you talked about, right? But it doesn't pick it up. But I do see a reflection of a person in the sign. I'm like, I realize it's me.
Oh.
Sorry.
Me excited.
I go, wait a minute. I start moving my hand, and then you're going to see it on a recording, or I don't know if you'll see it. I'm like, oh. But I had
I'm
a
gonna be
moment.
looking for it now.
No, I had a moment where, like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
And
Might
it
be a
was
good,
just
funny
a
Facebook
faint
post,
outlet
right?
of myself, and I debunked it by moving, and like,
But you debunked it. That's awesome. That's why you guys are out here. What are you hearing? I heard a little voice. That's why I said, "What'd you hear?" I know it's not easy. For years, it's still moving. But I think the flintlock that they would have used in those times would have been a duckbill, meaning it would have been much wider at the end of it. Again, I'm not a gun person, but I'm infatuated that a gun evolved that much in my century. That's Aunt Bonnie, you don't see her?
Yeah.
That's funny. It's pretty good about touching her. You guys got to talk. So, her name of her parents, William Cormack, Mary Brennan. None of you were expecting a second Mary. Remember, we had Mary Read, the lover/companion, on the ship. So the fact that Mary Brennan was the name of the mother was one of the reasons why I left that out, so that way you guys weren't expecting it, and it would have been a nice surprise to come through with. So, Calico Jack. I'm super happy the fact that we had the word jacket come up on the word list, and the phrase "he is guilty" showed up on the word list. And if my name shows up, we're going to know exactly where it came from. Calico Jack was named so because of the jackets he wore. They came from the men he killed, mainly the British. So that's why he's called Calico Jack. Very dapper young filthy pirate, but that's why. His real name was John Rackham. The funny thing is somebody, the first time we actually got his name to come through, somebody heard the term rack of ham before I even told the story. So we had rack of ham. It is spelled Rackham. Rackham. So that was very cool, and it was one of the first instances that come up. The name of his ship was called the Kingston. Do I expect Kingston to come through on a spirit box?
Yes.
No, I do not. London lies. So I expect the word king. So we actually had the word king show up. It's not very seldom that we get it, but when it does, obviously, who's mentioning kings on radio stations? So again, it's one of those pieces when you hear it, it's a aha moment, especially in this time frame. This was a very fun group. You were all super, super attentive. Like, I did not have to worry about putting somebody to sleep with all of the crazy history we were discussing, so I appreciate that. I think the evidence that we caught, this is slightly above the average of what I normally see and what I normally hear. When you're going through a full investigation like this, 40% of the evidence is caught in real time. If this is my 40% that I have to work with tomorrow, I have a lot to go through. So it's going to be a lot of quick researching to see what extra things I can find relative to what everything you guys told me that I wrote down. The other 60% is caught through the media review. So again, have fun with the media. That's what it's there for. I'm going to give you a ton of links. Based on how much audio we've actually recorded, that'll give me a basic gist of how much we actually have full total. It's going to be a little bit less, obviously, because the one camera busted down that Emily broke. She's going to get a bill tomorrow.
Eliza didn't like me.
But that said, like, guys, this was a lot of fun. You guys were a pretty attentive group, and you asked a lot of really great questions, keeping me on my toes. So I appreciate that. You can ask me a million questions as I start gathering up your devices, because I'm sure something's rattling around in all of those very inquiring brains of yours.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you had her take still shots,
Yes.
and you hope orbs show up, or do you believe in orbs? Or
Yeah.
what do you think?
Actually, the camera that was going on has pretty much been capturing orbs about at least half of the time I've had it so far. So we'll just say I've done 25 tours with it. I probably have 12 to 14 orbs that were caught legitimately. Not bugs or insects, because I can debunk those pretty quickly. I mean, I have some pretty solid stuff that came through on that camera. The laser work with that camera, before we actually had that full spectrum, it would normally be she would be taking pictures through the lasers in hopes that at that millisecond that she snapped the shot, we'd capture something in the lasers. The video just gives us how many milliseconds to be able to watch it and see if something's going to go through. So that's why we came up with the camera to be able to help with that. But yeah, I do believe in orbs, absolutely.
Cool.
Do I believe that everything that they show you on TV is an orb? Nope, sure don't. A lot of that stuff can be pretty, you can debunk it really fast based on its speed, the size, the shape, and the direction, the pattern that it's moving. There's a lot that goes into it. Actually, I'll give you a perfect example. And this one everybody might want to huddle in on. Let me bring it up. I was super excited because it's exactly right where we're standing. That's the funny thing. I had to post it because it was too kick-ass not to post. It's obviously my most popular video at this point. Make it big. London broke my phone. There we go. So it's,
Oh, wow. Oh. Interesting.
I'll play it again so everybody else can see it. So it's going to come through on this side, change direction, and come up this way. And of course, I slowed the video down just a hair, so it was very clear to see. Took a ton of still shots.
Yeah,
That's
really cool.
That's really cool.
Like, that's what that camera's there for. So the lasers are just an additive. So in the event we do capture something going through it, we have other ones where it's actually just in front of the lasers. It didn't capture the laser, but if there's no destination or a point of origin, like that's outside the frame, obviously you can kind of see things growing, and then it'll move and then disappear again. I want it all in the frame. Otherwise, it's a bug to me almost every time. I'm going to throw them out because we live in Charleston, next to the water. We're going to have a lot of bugs. But I want them nice and large, just like what you guys saw too. So that way, that's what we're looking for. So great question. What else do you have? Again, I want to open forum, guys. Like, I can do this all night. All right, I am going to take, where's Daniel? Yours goes in the top pocket. The other one, nice work, by the way. So this is not an easy one. None of the spirit boxes are easy, but this one, new. You're only really waiting for 10 or 12 terms to come through. So London's going to get you my card so you guys can check out the website ahead of time.
See how he treats me?
That also has all of my contact info on there, so you guys can get a hold of me when you guys find things in your data. I'm happy to take a look and either help you out with, like, where can I find this, or is this something, is this not something, and kind of tie it together. But you guys are going to have enough resources to be able to go through this and figure a lot of this out.